Hello, welcome to the IELTS multi-step program. Today, we're dealing with the writing section of the IELTS test. We've gone through the basic stages that you need to get to a band 9. We've talked about interpreting the question, making an outline, prioritizing your points, and also getting supporting details for the points that you have. We've also dealt with an introduction. How do you write an arresting and catchy introduction that will ensure that you get the desired band 9? That has also been trashed. And now we're going to move into the body of the essay. The body paragraph of an essay is the part that deals with the points raised in the introduction. In the introduction, you've mentioned your thesis and the reasons why you believe in your thesis. Those reasons are the things that are the ideas that are now expanded in the body paragraph. The body paragraph of an IELTS essay has a basic structure which I am going to share with you today. This structure is one that has been applied by thousands of students and has achieved the desired score of getting a band that identifies you as a near native speaker or someone who has native-like competence in English language. Without much ado, let's get into it. Your average body paragraph starts with a connective. A connective is basically an expression, a phrase, or a word that shows the relationship between the paragraph and the one preceding it, be it the introductory paragraph or the first body paragraph. A connective is essential, it is important, and you cannot by any means discard it when you're writing your body paragraph. An example of a connective would be to begin with. You could also start by saying the most important reason ... All these expressions that I have given basically show that what you're mentioning here has a direct relationship to the introduction. For example, the question that we dealt with in the introduction was a question that asked you about who was more important in the family unit, the father or the mother. The question was set up as a statement that expressed the mother as being the most important member of the family unit. And the second part of the question asked, to what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? We went ahead to say that we disagreed with the statement as we chose the stance that fathers are more important in the family unit than any other person. The reasons which we gave were that the father is the disciplinarian and also the breadwinner of the family. Those reasons that were given in our introduction that went with our thesis statement or opinion statement are the main points that will be expanded in our body paragraphs. Ideally, paragraph 1 would have me expanding the point about disciplinarian, while paragraph 2 will have me expanding the point about breadwinner. This is the basic structure that you use in the IELTS. Remember, it is not a test of intelligence, it is a test of communication. You do not need to write 15 reasons why fathers are better than mothers. All you need are those 2 basic reasons that are most easy, that are easiest for you to expand, and you latch onto it and milk it for all it's worth. So we start with a connective. And my connective starting that paragraph would be, to begin with, the reason why fathers are considered as more important or essential to the family unit than any other person is because they are disciplinarians. Full stop. This clearly introduces my body paragraph. The second thing after connective is the topic sentence. The topic sentence is regarded as the most important sentence in a paragraph. It is the sentence that carries the weight of the idea in the paragraph. It is essentially the sentence on which every other thing in your paragraph is built upon. The topic sentence ideally should come at the beginning of your paragraph. Now, a lot of textbooks tell you that the topic sentence could either be in the middle or at the end of the paragraph. For the purpose of the IELTS test, what you're doing is to convey to the examiner how competent you are in language usage. You do not want to hide your topic sentence in the middle or the end of your paragraph where your examiner most likely will not get to. Put it at the beginning so that it is there. It is the first thing that the examiner sees when they look at that paragraph. Automatically, it gives them a clear idea of what else you'll be doing in that paragraph. It becomes a logical foundation for any supporting detail or expansion that you're doing later on in that paragraph. These are the reasons why I advocate that your topic sentence should be the first sentence that you have in your paragraph. Like I mentioned earlier, my topic sentence is this. To begin with, the reason why fathers are considered more essential than any other person in the family unit is because they are disciplinarians. That is my topic sentence for that paragraph. Everything that I'll be developing in that paragraph revolves around the idea of the father being a disciplinarian. The next thing after the topic sentence in the structural unit of a paragraph will be the part that I call define/explain. This is simply the part where you give more information about the main idea mentioned in your topic sentence. The main idea that I mentioned in my topic sentence is the disciplinarian, and I am going to go ahead to expand, to define, or explain this in the second step. When I say define or explain, you could do either of the two. If the concept that you have mentioned is one that requires a definition, by all means, please go ahead and define. This could come out like this. I could say, according to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. Now, why would I use all that? Remember, you're writing an essay that must be at least 250 words. If you're struggling with words, this is a very good strategy for you to use. Ascribe your definition to a renowned or to a known dictionary. List out the name of the dictionary and you will end up with what I've just done now. According to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. 7 words just to introduce my definition. And then I go, according to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, a disciplinarian is someone who takes discipline to be a priority, or who, paraphrase that, what I have done is that I have provided a definition for the word disciplinarian that I used in my topic sentence. I could go the alternative route, which is I could explain the concept of a disciplinarian. I could go ahead and say that being a disciplinarian simply entails you being someone who is focused on the principles of discipline and who strives as much as possible to ensure that everything is done in an appropriate and disciplined manner. This way, I have not defined the term that I used in my topic sentence. Rather, I have explained it, or I have paraphrased it in such a way that it becomes clear to the reader that this is what I am talking about. I have provided more details. I have provided supporting details to expand or illustrate or to expatiate that concept that I mentioned in my topic sentence. Immediately after I do this, the next step for me is to go to my supporting detail. Now, the reason why this is called supporting detail is because it is specifically mentioned in your question. At the last part of your question says that you should provide relevant examples from your knowledge or experience to back up your opinion or your reasons or your ideas. At this point, this is where you need to put in those relevant ideas, those relevant examples. For a supporting detail, it could be one of two. You could either bring relevant examples from your knowledge, which has to do with what? Facts. These are things that we know to be true. Or you could bring it from your experience, which would be memories or things that you have experienced, that you have gone through, and which buttress or are relevant to the point you're trying to make. You cannot do both in one paragraph. You can only do one. Either bring a relevant example from your knowledge or bring a relevant example from your experience. Ideally, I would recommend that if you're writing a 4-paragraph essay, one paragraph, that's the first body paragraph, should carry either a fact or memory, and the second one should carry either a fact or memory. That way, you would have covered all your bases and responded to the question with relevant examples from your facts and your experience. For the supporting detail, when you have to use a fact, I recommend that you use a fact that involves a statistic. Why is this important? A statistic essentially includes a number, a symbol, maybe a percentage, maybe a degree, or any other mark that is not normal, that is not usually used in English language. A number does one thing. If you have a figure or a digit in your writing, it stands out for the examiner. If the examiner plans to skim through your writing, that arrests his attention, that catches his eye, and is forced to read that sentence, which means that it draws his attention to that particular point that you are trying to make, and there's a lesser chance of him or her skipping through that part. This is why I recommend that when you're using an example that is based on your knowledge, which could be a fact, you should endeavor to add a statistic to it. And how is this done? So, if I say, to begin with, the most important reason why fathers are regarded as made more important in a family is because they are disciplinarians. And I go ahead to define that by saying, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a disciplinarian is someone who is particular about entrenching disciplined principles. Full stop. My supporting detail will read like this. To illustrate, a recent study carried out by the American Society for Family Health showed that 80% of the healthy households that were interviewed had the father playing a strong disciplinary role. What has this done? This sentence that I have brought in, that I have ascribed to the American Society for Family Health, gives a supporting detail that effectively backs up my claim that the father is more important to the family unit because he's a disciplinarian. It illustrates how disciplinarian fathers have improved the overall health of their families. What does this do? It makes my claim more believable. It is relevant to the idea that I'm expressing, and it also expands that or supports the detail that I have mentioned earlier. This is how you want to deploy this structure in the IELTS to ensure that you get maximum scores for coherence, cohesion, and for task response. Remember, a significant part of the task says that you must support your claims with relevant examples or relevant details. If you do not do this in each body paragraph, you will lose really good marks for task response. Remember, you do not just want to just list out multiple points in your paragraph. You want to pick on one point and then make sure that you flesh it out as much as possible by providing supporting details that are relevant to the point that you are making. A second way for you to impute a supporting detail in your body paragraph would be to use a memory or to use an experience that you have gone through. In this instance, I could start this sentence would come into my paragraph. After I go ahead and define or explain what a disciplinarian is, I could say, to illustrate, I remember a certain incident that happened 20 years ago. Seven households who live in the same compound had the challenge of raising their children. At the end of 10 years, it was discovered that 3 of the households that had strong disciplinarian fathers had their children turning out to be better, active and responsible citizens in the society than those who had weak disciplinarian fathers. What does this show? It effectively backs up my claim that the reason why the father is more important to the family unit is because he is the disciplinarian. The last structural unit that you want to put, that you must put in your paragraph, in your body paragraph, is something I call the tie back. As the name implies, a tie back is a statement that effectively wraps up everything that you have said in that sentence, in that paragraph, and links it to the point that you are trying to make. For the purpose of that essay, the imaginary essay that we have been using, which is father versus mother. The tie back for that paragraph would go thus. After I write that, after I give the fact or statistic where I've said that the American Society for Family Health in a recent survey discovered that 80% of the healthy households that they have interviewed or that participated in the study were led by strong disciplinarian fathers. Full stop. My tie back would be expressed this way. This clearly shows the important role of the father in the family. Full stop. What does that sentence do? It effectively reiterates my thesis. It effectively ties up everything that I have said in that paragraph to my thesis. It buttresses it, and it also concludes that paragraph on a very strong note. The things that you want, the structural units that you must put in an average body paragraph for the IELTS are these. Your connective should start. The connective is linked to your topic sentence. The topic sentence is just basically you expressing the reason why you chose that stand. For example, if your essay requires you to write about the problems and the solutions, and you are dedicating one paragraph to the problems, another paragraph to the solutions, the paragraph that deals with the problems will start with a topic sentence that says the most significant challenges that nuclear energy raises are so-so and so-so. What does that do? That sentence effectively tells the examiner or the reader that everything in that paragraph is going to be focused on the challenges or the problems of nuclear energy. Nothing else. Remember, a paragraph is meant to deal with one idea, one single idea. You do not want to discuss advantage and disadvantage in one paragraph. It is a wrong structure, a faulty structure that would ensure that you end up confusing the examiner much more than convincing the examiner about the veracity or the validity of your position. Immediately after you put your topic sentence, the next part is the part where you define or explain the concept or the reason that you have mentioned in your topic sentence. This is followed by the supporting detail, which is a relevant example drawn from your knowledge or your experience that you are using to illustrate or to expatiate your reason. And finally, you tie that structure up with the tie back, which is a statement that restates or reiterates your thesis in the context of all the points that you've mentioned in that paragraph. You do this in your first paragraph, rinse and repeat it in the second paragraph if you're writing a 4-paragraph essay. A 4-paragraph essay essentially would be your introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and your conclusion. If you're writing a 5-paragraph essay, you're writing an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and your conclusion. Ideally, the average IELTS essay should not extend beyond a 5-paragraph essay. Anything beyond that would set you up for talking out of context, bringing irrelevant ideas, and bringing points that will go off point. All these are setting yourself up for losing key marks for task response.